fine that you will get. For the first time offense, this is the fine. Second time offense, this is the fine. Third time offense, this is the fine and maybe arrest. Have those laws and have those rules, I shouldn't say laws, have those rules been set down? No. None of us know what will happen if we break curfew. None of us know. Of course, section 144 is clear as day. We know what the laws are. We know that you cannot break the code of section 144 and the rules attached herewith. Even then, all of this is not taught to us in schools. Nobody tells us what section 144 means, what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to be dealing with this. The entire world, as of today, 2020, those who are in their 30s and 40s and 50s are dealing with a pandemic for the first time. Nobody knows how to deal with the pandemic. Of course, those who have gone through the Spanish flu and the world wars and everything else have some sort of an experience. But this time a lot of people don't understand the seriousness of a pandemic, and even though if Mr. Jairaj and Benix had kept their shop open for just about 15 minutes or even half an hour beyond the allowed time, what is the punishment that is written or even given or laid down for an offense like this? So is the justice system or the entire judicial system going to be watching and just leaving this punishment out in the open for the police to interpret whichever way they want? And that is the bigger question that we need to ask about. Police brutality is not new. Just a few minutes ago on Twitter, there's this post that I shared, and in that there are over 1,700 odd cases of custodial deaths registered every year. These are registered as custodial deaths in India. So you're looking at about 5 custodial deaths per day is what he spoke about. On Twitter there is this girl called Shivangi who put out a huge thread about how girls in Odisha and Jharkhand are perennially scared of the police because girls as young as 11 and 10 and 12 are afraid of being sexually harassed, molested and raped by the police, especially tribal girls. The brutality against tribes, the brutality against Adivasi people has been going on for aeons. The rapes of Adivasi women, the rapes of forest dwellers, the rapes of oppressed castes have been happening for aeons and aeons and aeons. Just that these never find the light of day. The other thing that I found really strange is that in recent times, in recent history, right, just like Amrita and Pranay's caste murder case in Telangana, there was a case in Tamil Nadu, Kausalya's case, Kausalya Udumalai Sankar's case. That was also a caste-based killing. It happened in broad daylight. The parents who asked or contracted this murder did not go to jail. They sent the murderers, that is the contract killers, to jail instead, saying that those who contracted this murder they are innocent and they are not in this, and only the murderers need to go to jail. Again, they picked the weaker section of the society, and here you also need to see how caste comes into play in such crimes. So caste plays a huge role in all of this, and how somebody is treated in the police station, how somebody, and caste and money and power, all of this makes a difference in how you're treated in the police station and all of that. If you look at recent cases like in Kausalya Udumalai Sankar or Kasi Suji demo, or you're looking at the Kasi Suji demo is the guy who sexually harassed and blackmailed and extorted dozens of women, and I spoke about it in a YouTube video. The Pollachi sexual harassment case is also recent, very, very recent history. What happened to those guys who sexually harassed countless of girls and threatened to share videos? They were treated like VIPs and they were sent out. I'm sure they are on bail right now. Nobody even knows. There was this murder of this 9-year-old child, 9 or 8 or 10-year-old child, I'm not too sure. This child called Hasini, she lived in an apartment and she was raped and murdered by a guy called Dashwant. He went to jail. He escaped. The police gave chase. They couldn't catch him. He escaped. He went back home. He murdered his mother, and he's apparently now back in jail. How do you think he's getting treated? Today on Twitter, as I said, this girl called Shivangi had shared about how girls in Odisha and Jharkhand are perennially scared about dealing with the police. and how custodial deaths are a norm in so many places. In Baikula jail, there was this lady who was gang raped, very similar to the Nirbhaya gang rape by officials, and because inmates of the jail protested and rioted against that, they put out cases against all the inmates of the Baikula jails while the woman lay bleeding on the barracks. I'm going to be sharing her tweets on my story, on my feed a little later. So I heard that these police officers asked for money. I mean, asked for a phone from these two guys, and they refused to bribe. So basically, these two policemen asked for a bribe in the name of a phone, and because these two men refused, they used this way of making sure that they took revenge on these guys. Now, when you actually take two people and put them on remand, the magistrate is supposed to have allowed that remand under what clause, under what crime, and why were they forced and taken to jail as if they were terrorists, like as if they were colluding with the Al Qaeda or something like that. They were kept overnight in jail and beaten for hours. And not only should you be asking the police who beat them to death literally in this case, but you must be looking at their superiors who allowed them. And based on Mr. Raj Mohan's post Instagram video in Tamil, I want you to go out and see it if you understand Tamil. He has detailed everything. These police officers, some have come out in the open, some have not come out in the open apparently. They have a history of such police brutality. Has anybody checked? Do we, as the citizens of this country, do we have the right to know about the history of our police officials and whether they have been a part of police brutality before? Can we, just like a public registry in the US, for example, where a pedophile is, you can find out, you can actually Google and see if there is a pedophile anywhere near you. There are rules that a pedophile is not supposed to be within a certain